morning, heart and soul. Welcome to our Sunday celebration service. My name is Sonia Russell. I am a founding member and licensed practitioner here at Heart and Soul, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you this morning and let you know the many ways in which you can be engaged here at Heart and Soul. Today is Sunday, September 20th, and it is indeed a good day. I want to begin by reminding you about, or letting you know, if this is your first time with us, about our theme. The 2020 theme for Heart and Soul is Adventures in Faith, Expect a Miracle. And we are taking our time to diligently walk through A Year of Miracles by Mary Ann Williamson. It is a daily read. And we are inviting you to make sure that you have the book and are joining us in that read. We're inviting you, family, to stay connected in all the ways there are to stay connected: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and all of the various podcasts where you can find us. And I want to make sure that you know that at the end of our service, we'll have an opportunity to give in community. But at any time, day or night, you have the opportunity to give to Heart and Soul by visiting our website or texting to give. We also invite you to sign up for our recap so that you can have all of the information about what's happening up to date at Heart and Soul in your email box. And family, I want to invite you into our community affirmation. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Our practitioners are deep diving into the 2020 Year of Miracles review. Today was day 2. I don't remember what day it was suddenly. Sorry, family. Today is day 264 in our Year of Miracles read. And tomorrow for our session with our practitioners, we'll be talking about day 265. And so we invite you to be with us on Mondays at 6:30. You can sign up just once and get regular reminders in order to be with us. So we invite you into that. We want to remind you that on Thursdays, Tammy Hall is live on Facebook from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure that you're supporting our family and tipping generously. And on Saturdays, we have our Point of Power with Reverend Andriette. It premieres live at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook, YouTube, and via our podcast. The Essential Earnest class began last Thursday. This is the last week you have to join. This class is based on Science of Mind's Declaration of Principles, also known as What We Believe. It runs for 10 weeks from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. You can visit heartsoulcenter.org/essentialearnest to sign up for this class. Tuition is $295, and we're so grateful that our beloved Reverend Jack is teaching this class. The prerequisite for this class, family, is a foundation level course like foundation class or a spiritual principles and practices. And if you find yourself on the practitioner path, this is a required course as well. We want to make sure that you know about IJ. They kicked off their season, Large and in Charge, and we had an amazing community film screening of the movie All In, The Fight for Democracy. If you haven't seen it, get yourself to Amazon Prime and make sure you see it. And you're going to join, I'm inviting you to join Imagining Justice with Valerie Joy and David this coming Thursday, where they're going to be visioning about the highest expression for the new normal, because it is going to have to be a new normal that we're moving into, family. And we're inviting you to save the date, because on October 14th, the League of Women Voters will be doing a live info session, because we are determined to be educated voters and to vote responsibly. And so we invite you to join us. Our Path to Membership is happening this coming Saturday. Our virtual Path to Membership experience happens from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. You want to become a member because memberships has its privileges. You can visit the website and find out more information, heartsoulcenter.org/become a member. And we, Imagining Justice, invites you to save the date for the second annual Urban Mindfulness Summit. Rise Together Right Now is our theme, happening Saturday, October 24th and Sunday, October 25th. We have already confirmed our afternoon concert with Ricky Byers, and we're inviting you to simply stay tuned with some additional information about how you can register with a sliding scale from $20. So we invite you to make sure that you're saving those dates and plan to be with us. Following service today, family, we offer prayer about 10 minutes following the conclusion of service, group prayer, because we believe that prayer changes everything. We invite you to call in on this line. We also offer prayer on Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So, family, I invite you to take a moment and take a breath. Heart and Soul believes in the practice of visioning, and In fact, it is one of our core practices. Our vision was revealed to us many years ago before we were in our current configuration. And so we like to make sure that we are grounded in it. And so we recited together, we are a loving and compassionate, world-class teaching and empowerment ministry. Through a consciousness of universal God presence, we release all resistance, separation, and fear. We claim our personal liberation and accept the eternal availability of joy, love, and abundance. Through our intention to be love and spread joy, we engender reflections of the same and more in others. Our ministry is a gift to the world, which expands through our practice and dedication. We welcome all people, and together we make a quantifiable, positive difference on the planet. And so it is. And so, family, I invite you to simply find your breath. Allow yourself to put down everything that happened before this moment and give no concern to all of the things that must happen after this moment. Simply allowing yourself to be here now. Present and available, touching and agreeing, remembering to remember that there is only one life. And that life is God's life, and that life is whole, perfect, and complete in nature and form. That life is my life. That life is the life of every single person on the planet, all 7 billion of us. Breathing, moving, living, experiencing. 7 billion ways to know God. 7 billion ways to know love and peace and joy. We are one with the perfection of the universe. I trust this knowing. I rest, rule, and abide in it. And it is from this place that I, Sonia, speak my word on behalf of my beloved Heart and Soul Center of Light community, knowing, trusting, believing that all is working together for our good. That regardless of the appearance of things, regardless of the way things look, with the way the skies look, the way the poles look, regardless of the way any of these things look, the universe, the goodness of the infinite is working together for our good. And this is our opportunity to trust this, to know it, to believe in it. And so I am giving thanks for Heart and Soul Center of Light and the space it creates for us to believe, the space it creates for us to trust, the space it creates for us to know that love is the answer regardless of the question. And so I give thanks for all that Heart and Soul endeavors to be and all of the hearts and the hands that serve here. I am grateful that we come together with the knowing of a higher truth, knowing that the good of all concern is possible, knowing that a world that works for everyone is possible, and that we are the ones we have been waiting for. And so I give thanks for everyone who supports this ministry. I give thanks for our practitioners, for our board, for our ministers. I give thanks for our beloved Reverend Andriette, for her power, for her compassion, for her vulnerability, and for her willingness to be the one. And I know that she is not the only one. We are here together to know the infinite power of God. And I am grateful that we have said yes. And so in perfect gratitude, I simply release this word into the law, knowing that it is done, not only because I speak this word, but because it is written on our hearts. And so we simply allow it to be so, now and forevermore. And so it is.
Good morning, Heart and Soul. This morning is a different kind of heart and soul morning, if I say so. In fact, I want to say, my Lord, what a morning. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to our Heart and Soul virtual Sunday team, because they have been here. They had an earlier call today. They've been here since 7:30 this morning because I was speaking virtually at Center of Peace in Philadelphia, where the amazing Reverend Twana Malone is the senior minister. You'll hear later what actually happened is that I spoke for their service, and we fortunately recorded it. And so I'm going to share the recording with you in just a moment so that I can experience it myself. They had me on fire because their practitioners had invited me to do a prac retreat that was souls on fire, igniting the flame in that way, just igniting our souls. And so I was already high and on fire, and so I kind of want to see what happens. So the talk is Faith Deeper Roots. And here's what I know for sure. As we deepen our faith and expand our faith, we are inspired to stand up. You know, just in saying that, I felt my shoulders drop into kind of proper position and my neck to kind of straighten up. There's something about standing in truth for such a time as this. And you just heard the young Douglas, the Douglas youngsters singing Stand Up. Part of the lyric is, I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, a world that works for all. And so happy Sunday. Here we go. Thank you so very, very much. That was lovely. Not that part of the written bio, but your personal testimony, because I feel the same. I felt an immediate affinity to Reverend Twana Malone when I met her. I don't even know when we met, T. All I know is that I fell in love, that I absolutely embraced this, for me, young sister. So I am just so very, very honored that for all of the times that we spoke of what we could do together, that this is the thing that we are doing together. So thank you again. And good morning, Philly, Center of Peace. I bring you greetings from right here in Heart and Soul Center of Light in Oakland, California. And let me start by saying thank you to my Heart and Soul Sunday virtual team. I need to say thank you because they were up early and had a much earlier call time than we would typically do, because we are broadcasting to the East Coast, and we are grateful for this opportunity to do it. Just a special shout out to Sandy Forrest, because her call to me to be a part of, to facilitate the practitioner retreat this weekend was just sweet. Absolutely sweet and empowering. And let me just say, Rev T, that you have a pretty amazing group of folks. I had such a good time with the individual spirits, but also the collective consciousness. There's something, old folks used to say that the fruit don't fall far from the tree. I just want to say you are a mighty tree in ministry, Reverend Twana Malone, given the consciousness and my experience with your practitioners this weekend. Thank you very, very much. And I'm literally giddy. So I'm trying to focus my thoughts so that I can actually offer you something other than just my giddiness this morning. I am literally giddy because the phenomenal Center of Peace practitioners and the phenomenal Heart and Soul practitioners came together in a kind of happy hour thing last evening, and Rev T and I were just a part of the very beginning, and I'm in the infinite possibility of this East Coast, West Coast connection that is so rooted in consciousness and in principle and all about what is possible for us. So I'm just going to try to calm myself right here so that I can act. Well, it's appropriate because our heart and soul theme for 2020 is Adventures in Faith, Expect a Miracle. And because we are actively engaged in a consciousness for such a time as this, we also are looking at and practicing hashtag 2020 in 2020, because it reminds us that there is something for us to do. I am grateful and want to give a shout out to the auto performance of Pat Hoagland, because her beautiful voice and rendition when she got to, I got a feeling everything's gonna be all right. I'm like, yes, I got a feeling everything's gonna be all right. And that's an opportunity for all of us. You see, in our expecting a miracle, we must at least begin, our point of entry has to be at least a feeling that everything's going to be all right, because it's out of that that we raise the bar and include other possibilities for this. So this is, I want to bring you into, even in our East Coast, West Coast connection, that we are literally on an adventure in faith. So I appreciate that Rev T paused for a moment to acknowledge that that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg made her transition. And if we spent a moment now listing all of the beloveds who are gone, that would be the service and the next service as well. And so we just simply acknowledge that all of us in our own individual and collective ways are shown enough on an adventure in faith. What some of you don't know is right in the room with me now is an image of our matron saint, Harriet Tubman, Mother Harriet Tubman. And as I stand here, I just have a sense like my own mother and her mother might have said, like, you think this is an adventure in faith? Y'all don't even know. And so I want to put it in perspective always that sure enough, rightfully, we are on an adventure in faith. We are the ones for such a time as this. And the ancestors are yet saying, this is y'all's adventure in faith? Well, go on with your bad selves then. Because it's all happening in perfect order. That may be hard for somebody to hear. Here's the thing that's required of us. I feel like today I am bringing from last week, Rev T spoke on deeper faith. So I feel like I'm doing deeper faith, faith, deeper roots, part 2. And so I begin with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. I've come to say, don't go looking for the whole staircase, because that's not your business right now. The outcome of this, how it's going to work out, when it's going to work out, that's not your business right now. Your business right now is how you going to be. How are you going to be? How will you stand in this? How will you sit in this? How will you respond? This is the call to faith. See, it's not faith if you already have scoped out the staircase and already plotted out your route. That don't take no faith. You're just walking upstairs. But what we're looking for here is the willingness to take that first step when you don't know where this is ended. You don't know where it's going, who you're going to be in the end, but you're willing to take the trek. That is faith, and that's what we're talking about. That gets us to 2 Corinthians 5 and 7, for we walk by faith, not by sight. If you didn't catch it with the staircase that Dr. King offered us, surely you can get that faith requires that you simply walk in a knowing, walk in a trusting, walk in a believing. Not by checking it out, scoping it out, knowing every twist and turn of it. It is absolutely, see, if we are walking by sight, we are also susceptible to doubt and fear. Because I'll tell you, on an adventure, it ain't an adventure if you're not seeing nothing strange. It's just an outing. And adventure means, woo, there's going to be some highs and some lows and some, what is that? That makes it an adventure. It's the aspect of it that you don't know, you're not anticipating, you may or may not be prepared. Some would call it a pop quiz, like, oh, I'm ready for this. Come on now. Whatever it is that, okay, I'm already doing my forgiveness practice, so I'm already prepared for this moment in time. It calls us into an awareness, a deeper awareness of what are the principles by which we're living. What are the principles by which we are being guided? What is happening in me that has me willing to make the first step without knowing that there's going to be a second? Wow. That just saying that took me, I know Heart and Soulers have heard this before, but this will be new for those of you on the East Coast. This is way back, probably the summer, it was in fact the summer of 1980. And I was working as in the field as a salesperson, and I was out up in Chico, California. Yeah, I was up in Chico, California. Literally, it's coming back to me as I'm sharing it. And we had, the company I worked for would always, as we traveled, they would rent office space, and then we would find our apartment or hotel or whatever it was. So that's how you live on the road. And so I was working there on a Sunday afternoon. I'd gone in to complete some work, and we were upstairs like from I think a Masonic temple or something like that. And the folks were in there downstairs, and when they left, they left. But I was there into the night, getting work done, prepared for my Monday. As I got ready to leave, the light switch is at the bottom of the stairs, and it's a steep stair upstairs because we're above a full hall. Whew, what y'all don't know is I used to be scared of the dark. And so as I came out and realized that there was no light, and I had to lock up the door there. And so I locked up and I walked with my hand touching the wall. Now, if you know me, you know I don't drag my hand along no walls in no dark place. That just to me is risky behavior. Let's just be true. Let's just keep it real here. So by the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I was drenching wet. Because all of my fears had come up, about, when this light, I just skipped up the stairs and went on in and handled my business. But coming out, it was truly an adventure in faith. The part I didn't tell you is I considered spending the night there. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. But it was, I don't know that if you did not have that kind of fear, you don't have any understanding of what I'm talking about. But taking those first steps were not as difficult. But by the time I got to, probably about midway, where it was pitch black, and I really didn't know, this was not familiar territory to me. I walk around in the dark in my house and places that I'm familiar with, but this ain't that. And so it was terrifying. So whenever I see these, whenever I read the scripture and Dr. King's, I get it. I get it. It's a walk by faith and not by sight. And what I'm giving you is just a mundane example. This doesn't say anything to do with all that is going on now. For such a time as this, can we walk by faith and not by sight? Can we know something more? Can we rely on the principles that we've been studying? Look at here. Ernest Holmes said, trained thought is more powerful than untrained thought. This is a quote that we used throughout this summer as we did our summer school, where we were reading the book Shortcut to a Miracle. You see, the principles that we teach and endeavor to practice, the courses we offer, the books that we suggest and that we read together, are all with the intent of supporting and assisting in the training of our minds. Why? Because if we have not trained our minds, we're going to be lost as stuff unfolds. As we are on the adventure in faith with an untrained mind, first of all, you like an untrained pet. Whatever sparkles, whatever moves, you're distracted by. Whatever is in the environment, all of the fear, all of the doubt, all of the pundits, all of the lies, all of the innuendo, all of the gossip, an untrained mind will follow it all. You know what it's like to get to a point in the house where you go in the room and you go, what did I come in here for? Imagine living a life where you start out with an intention and end up, God knows where, well, not even, let's not invoke that, and end up someplace where you never intended because your mind was not sufficiently trained to follow and stay focused on your intention, your values, your vision, all of the stuff that supports us, all of the attributes that support us in focusing our attention. I was truly moved last week when I was listening to Rev T. And there was a moment, T, when you were rocking with this idea that has held me all week, when you said, I refuse to let whatever happened, and then I added, or didn't happen, get in my way. And what I loved was she stayed there for a moment and gave us several examples. But all week I've been declaring, I refuse to let my story, the gossip, other people's ideas of me and what I shoulda, woulda, coulda do. I refuse to let any or all of that get in my way. Why? Because I'm headed someplace and I'm willing to take the steps by faith. Even as all that's going on, remember it's an adventure in faith, which means they're going to be rocky roads. There's a place where the road is out and you're going to have to keep going. What I know is that all of this is part of my and our mind training. Last week, Rev T also invoked the Declaration of Principles. And I want to re-highlight and highlight two of the stanzas. That we believe that the kingdom of heaven is within us. And that what we experience this kingdom, the kingdom of heaven is there. It is in existence. It's a vibration. It's a frequency that is currently in existence. But what? None of us will experience it except to the degree that we are conscious of it. You know, there's this unclaimed property activity that happens. And so what it often means is what I have found is that there have been those folks who have reached out to me, those companies, to say, you have money here. And when I looked further, it was true. So I had money I didn't know I had. Look at here. The money existed. I just didn't know I had it. This is what I'm talking about. The kingdom of heaven, the divine unfolding of good already is, you just don't know it. And to the extent that you know it and engage it, that's exactly the extent to which you will experience it. And so part of this, if you're understanding what I'm saying, is part of training our minds to be available to not just faith, but the deeper roots. Here's the thing. So look, in the Declaration of Principles, it also says we believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Really? Come on now. That's what we believe. See, I'm doubting it. I'm questioning it because I live in the world. And if we actually believed that, I mean, not just talked about it, not just shared with each other, not just prayed about it sometime, not just affirm it on occasion, but if we absolutely knew that to be true, like sometimes I think no with a capital K, no, it's like congealed belief. You know, where you'd have to like really break up your belief in order to not know at the level you're knowing. If we were just these two communities, center of peace and heart and soul, and then everybody get in where you fit in beyond that. If we were righteously in belief that the ultimate goal of life was the complete emancipation of all discord, yeah, the one you're tripping about as well, all discord of every nature, and that this goal, the goal of the emancipation of all discord, is sure to be attained by all, what on earth would we be tripping about? What is it that's keeping us from standing in that, living in that? This is why this notion of faith, this deeper roots, is essential. Here, you know, this thing about deeper roots, there's a point at which I think we's all tangled up in these roots. You know, I'm with you with the faith, deeper roots. And faith, the roots of faith do run deep. But I think some of us got some tangled roots. And we're in the tangle of it, and I'm not talking about the literal tangle of it, I'm talking metaphorically. We kind of tangled up in it. We're not sure when we are faithful, when we're not, what we believe and what we don't, what's true and what isn't. What is see, this is an opportunity to break some of that up, to return to or to come into a sense of trust, a sense of acceptance, a truth of belief, a sense of believing. Irvin Seal offers us this. I think this is so powerful. This is why I'm sharing it with you this morning. Faith that falters because planes fall, or Supreme Court justices pass, and ships sink, and elections don't turn out the way you want, and presidents are shot, and there is voter suppression, and laws look like they're being reverted to an earlier time, and tragedies, as he says, of various kinds come to people, is not faith. For true faith, he says, is based upon events, are not based upon events, but rather upon the laws of consciousness. This is why a trained mind is essential. See, an untrained mind is like, what you talking about? Laws of consciousness. A trained mind goes, ooh, you're right. Have y'all seen a trained dog like at the dog park? And the owner, and there's a moment of recognition. There's a moment of stopping immediately in mid-leap for whatever it was. The humping, the running after, the barking, whatever that was going to be, all that stops. And I'm saying that, you know, it's a metaphor. I'm using an analogy here, but we need to be more like the trained folks so that we can catch ourselves midway that, oh, wait, I have faith in the event. I'm focused on the external. I'm focused on what happened, and in my tears and in my grief, I am absorbed with what I don't want to unfold. When the trained mind practice is to focus on the laws of consciousness and the unswerving conviction that consciousness alone is cause. Mother Harriet, you just know she knew something beyond the external, something beyond the physical, something beyond the effect, the way it looked. Because it looked like she ain't getting out of here. It looked like there was a bounty on her head, and everyone she would come in contact with potentially could be an enemy. And yet she somehow understood with unswerving conviction that consciousness alone was cause. Oh, I'm trying to say something today. Look, I've got to invoke one of my favorite scriptures, 2 Timothy 3-7. And it's because when I read it, It sounds like us. It sounds like my people to me. The way I read it, the way I see it, it sounds just like what has happened in my life. You see, in this scripture, I'm not going to read it so much as talk you through it. It's Timothy, who's a disciple of Paul, is imprisoned, and Paul is writing to him as you would expect that he would. He's his mentor, he's his leader, he's his teacher. And so he's writing to encourage him. He's like, don't lose faith, Timothy, whatever you do, because imagine, well, don't. Let me just go with this. So Timothy is imprisoned, and Paul writes to him saying, he sets it up that, I'm writing you from this awareness of the truth and connected with the divine and all of that. But then he gets to this where he says, I long to see you and remember things about you. You see, I remember your tears. And so I'm filled with joy. So it's that part of the note that is making the connection. We've been through some stuff, Timothy. This ain't the first time. It's been bad for us. But then he goes to the part that I want to bring to you. He says, by the recollection I have of your true faith. See, I know you. I've seen you under circumstances, which began what? In your mother's mother. See, back in the day, folks would say, look, I know your mama. I know your mama, and I know you know better than this. So it was that kind of moment. So when I read this with the from a cultural eye, I hear the folks on my block. I hear the folks in the church I attended. And sometimes they didn't even have to say the whole thing. Sometimes it was just a look. Like, I know you're an Earl girl, because they didn't bother with all our names. I know you're an Earl girl. And I know your mama, and I know your daddy, and I know you know better than this. And there's nothing to say but yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So Paul is pulling that kind of moment. He's saying it began first with your mama's mama and Lois in your mother. So not only your mother's mother, but your mother too. And I'm convinced that it's in you too. I've come today to say, I know your minister. Center of Peace, I know your minister. Reverend Twana, I know her. I know your practitioners. Come on now, you can do better. If we are about calling forth, we're not creating no more than we're creating the kingdom of God. We're not creating a world that works for everyone. We're calling it forth out of the power of our word and our practice, using our trained minds to know something more. I'm talking to you like Paul talked to Timothy. I know your mama. I know your minister. I know your practitioners. I know the spirit of the teaching. And I know that when we get with it, he ends it by saying, because God did not give us a spirit of fear. He says, stir up the gift. Do something with it. Yesterday we were talking about igniting the fire. So Paul is essentially saying, ignite the fire, stir up the gift. God has given you a spirit of power, of love, and of wisdom. You see, when we focus on the outcome and the feeling of the outcome, rather than tripping about how long it's going to take, it's going to take whatever it takes. And a lot of whatever it takes is you getting with the program. Often I realize, certainly in my life, I'm the one holding up the works. The thing is working. It's when I get off track. It's when I stop believing and I start whining and doing the anti-principle, engaging in that rather than staying with the one that brung me. Ernest Holmes, I think, says this is the one right here. If you don't read nothing more of Ernest Holmes, I suggest you read this part right here, where he says, stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never, it's kind of all inclusive. That means there's no day of the week where you get a day off where you get to deviate from it. Never is that kind of call. Stay with the one and never deviate from it, he says. Never leave it for a moment. What? You got to train your mind in order to do that. The untrained mind cannot stay focused long enough to stay with the one and never deviate from it, not even for a moment. You got to train your mind. This becomes not just an aspiration, but a clear intention. He says nothing else can equal this attitude, the attitude that comes out of a trained mind. And then he hits us right between the eyes. He says to desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. Anybody have a question whether this is an hour of need? I'm going on record saying this is that. This right now, this moment, this divine moment contains within it an hour of need for our souls, for our people, for the community, for those who have not yet trained their minds, who do not have a clear awareness of principle and the power of love and a spoken word of divine intention. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we never knew the truth. This is an opportunity for us. This is essentially me calling you out to change our thinking. See, we got to change our thinking in order to change our consciousness. And we only need to change our consciousness if you're interested in changing your life. But that's like the sequence of it. We got to know it. It's all about practice. It's about practicing. And in our practice, it's expecting. Expectation is part of the practice. Expecting a miracle. Expecting the desired outcome. It's an opportunity for us. It's a call for us to know more now than we knew this time last week or the week before. That we are forever growing in our awareness, that we're forever training our minds, that we're forever willing. Come on, Mother Harriet, help us out with this. Help us to know that there's something on the other side of our doubt, something on the other side of our fear, something that awaits us in our faith and in our cultivating the deeper roots. Please join me in prayer. Oh, how good and very good it is for us to come together in God, to come together in the living one, the strong one, to come together in an awareness that there is one life, one love, one breath, that we are each breathing the breath of the divine. And that the breath of the divine is breathing us, each and every one of us, that we are each living the life of the divine, and that the life of the divine is living each and every one of us, that there is only one. And that we are a part of, we are an expression of the one, we are one. In the divine, in God, in Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, by any name. The living one, the strong one. And so I speak this word from this awareness of faith. And in every moment, we are envisioning deeper roots. That we are willing to trust, to know the truth. I got a feeling everything is going to be all right. I have a feeling, I have a knowing, I believe. Come on, Mother Harriet. I believe that this is all working out, that there is a divine order in which I live, move, and have my very being that is all unfolding by right of consciousness. And knowing this, I know my work. I know my work is to change my mind, to change my way. I speak this word that it be an encouragement, that it be a guiding word, that it be a revealing word, that regardless of what I say, that somebody hears whatever it is they need to hear so that they can know something more than they knew, so that they can see a light at the end of the tunnel that they could not see before, so that they can be the light at the end of a tunnel for someone who can only see it in them. That right where we are right now, each and every one of us, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere in between, right where we are right now, the whole perfect and complete nature of the divine is vibrating a frequency into which each of us can enter, like jumping double dutch, to just get into the rhythm of the divine, of the truth, of the infinite possibility, to just enter in and be as one. And it's all in mind because we're already in it. And so I rejoice. I rejoice in the divine outcome that each of these shifts has within it. For every shift, there's a consequence, there's a benefit, there's an outcome. And so I'm giving thanks for all of that right now. I'm giving thanks for this new relationship between the center of peace and heart and soul center of light. I am grateful. I'm giving thanks for all that means. You see, this is but the first step on a stairwell that I cannot see the top of. And yet I am rejoicing in it. I don't know what we'll do together. I know we're doing this right here. And I know that this is good and very, very, very good. And for this, I am grateful. So it is an absolute perfect gratitude that I just let go and I let God, that I drop kick this word into the perfect activity of law, that I know that it's done, that I know that it's done well, and it's complete. And I ask that you join me in sealing this for all eternity by simply saying Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Nadine Risha. And thank you, Reverend Andriette, for reminding us that we are calling forth a world that works for everyone through our word and through our action. Part of that word in action is gracious giving. And at Heart and Soul Center of Light, we so appreciate the way in which you support this ministry through your gracious gifts. And there are several ways in which you can give. If you would like to mail a check, you can do so by sending to our new secure mailing address at 5627 Telegraph Avenue, number 405, Oakland, California, 94609. You can also easily give online by going to our website at heartsoulcenter.org/give. Last but not least, you can text the word give to 510-500-5849. Whatever method of giving you choose to be right and perfect for you is right and perfect for us. But it's also important that we maintain the proper consciousness around our giving, thereby establishing an intention for good that we have for our gifts. And the way we do that at Heart and Soul is by blessing our good. So wherever you are in the world right now, I invite you to, if you have a physical gift, just take it in hand and maybe place it over your heart, or otherwise just place your hand over your heart and let us say our blessing together. I bless this gift as healing energy and send it into the divine flow of all good. Infinite prosperity circulates through me, through my church, and throughout the world, because I know God as source, and so it is.
Thank you, family. It is my opportunity now to remind you how to continue to be engaged with Heart and Soul, beginning with Monday nights. Our Year of Miracles review, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you sign up, heartsoulcenter.org/RSCP Year of Miracles, and you'll get a regular reminder to be with us. On Thursdays, Tammy Hall is live on Facebook from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure that you spend time with her and that you tip generously. On Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we have our Point of Power, Reverend Andriette's Pop weekly vlog that premieres on Facebook, YouTube, and via podcast. The Essential Ernest Holmes class is already underway. This is the last opportunity to join. 10 Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. $295 is the tuition. It is being taught by our beloved Reverend Jack Elliott, and you do not want to miss this class, especially if you find yourself on the practitioner path. heartsoulcenter.org/Essential Ernest is where you register. Our Imagining Justice is back in full swing this week. We will be visioning about our highest expression for the new normal, and we're inviting you into saving the date of October 14th, when the League of Women Voters will be here for an info session, because we want to make sure that we are educated voters and that we vote responsibly. This coming Saturday, our virtual Path to Membership experience is happening from 9 to 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, and you must attend the entire session in order to become a member of Heart and Soul. We're very excited to be able to welcome people from around the world to becoming members of Heart and Soul. Visit our website /become a member to find out more information and to register. Imagining Justice invites you to save the date for the second annual Urban Mindfulness Summit, happening Saturday, October 24th and Sunday, October 25th. We have already confirmed Ricky Byers for our concert in the evening on the afternoon on Saturday, and we invite you to stay tuned for registration. It begins with a sliding scale of $20. And today, following service, we offer group prayer from 7. We offer group prayer and on Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure that you avail yourself to prayer. Family, the 60th anniversary fundraiser for Marcus Bookstores is still underway. The oldest independently owned Black bookstore in the country. Visit GoFundMe to find out more. And we also want to lift up Kingston 11. You can visit Kingston 11 Eats for Jamaican cuisine. They do takeout as well. We want to let you know that the Pulse meets at 11:30 on Sundays Pacific time. You can send email to thepulse@heartsoulcenter.org. Our young people are still engaged in the asynchronous learning with watching videos. For more information and to give feedback to our youth and family leads, please send email to yfv@heartsoulcenter.org. And it is my pleasure to welcome back our beloved Reverend Andriette.
Thank you, Sonia. My prayer is that, well, first of all, let me just say I am so grateful for the flexibility of our community and how you just roll with Heart and Soul, no matter what we're up to. So thank you for sharing the service that we held for Center of Peace in Philly and just being a part of that. This is a very exciting time for us. You know, I just want to remind you that there's so much that is going on that we never would have experienced had we not been sheltered in place. So I know that all of that has brought both the lows and the difficult times, and it's also offered some very high and empowering moments. So I'm just declaring I am thankful for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. I am especially grateful this day for those of you who are tuning in with us always. And I just want to give a shout out to those of you who are outside of the Greater Bay Area and acknowledge that we have folks joining us from Aurora, Colorado, from Jaco, Costa Rica, from Las Vegas, from Jackson, Mississippi, from Tucson, Arizona, from Reno, Nevada, from Sao Paulo, Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Knoxville, Tennessee, from San Jose, Costa Rica, and from Lansing, Michigan, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and from Pittsburgh, PA. So grateful for you being with us. And this, in closing our service, the closing video is an opportunity for Heart and Soul to remind you that you never, ever, ever walk alone, that we are in this love together.